This is Online Pass, the weekly video game news quiz show. My name is Cyril Lachel, and I'm going to ask you a series of questions based on some of the biggest news stories from the past week. It's your job to answer each question correctly, so grab a piece of paper and a number 2 pencil, because this is a test. Question 1. It's officially November, which means the Golden Joystick Awards have chosen the best games of the year. What massive multi-console release picked up the award for Ultimate Game of the Year? Question 2. Seeing the surprise success of Until Dawn, Sony has fast-tracked a brand new spin-off set for release on PlayStation VR. Titled Rush of Blood, what arcade-friendly genre is this horror franchise tackling next? Question 3. Shigeru Miyamoto had a few concerns when he first saw GoldenEye 007. He was worried about the tragic tone and graphic violence. According to an interview with designer Martin Hollis, how would Shiggy have lightened the mood at the end of GoldenEye? Question 4. We all know Gran Turismo 7 is on the way, but before that happens, there's Gran Turismo Sport. This PlayStation 4 exclusive will offer a taste of what Polyphony is working on. How long has it been since Sony released a Gran Turismo prologue? Question 5. With more than 460 games available on PlayStation 4, you're going to need a giant hard drive if you plan on downloading them all. Exactly how much space would you need if you planned on installing every game currently available in the PlayStation 4's catalog? And now, the throwback round, where I pull questions from classic game magazines. Brace yourself, the next corner's rough. 20 years ago this month, toy maker Hasbro scrapped plans for a home virtual reality game machine. The company behind G.I. Joe and Gem took a huge hit. How much money did Hasbro invest in this ill-conceived VR project? Okay, put your pencils down, everybody. The quiz is over. Let's see how you did. After 33 years, you would think the Golden Joystick Awards would realize there are more than 10 months in a year. This week, the long-running awards ceremony celebrated the best games released so far this year. The Ultimate Game of the Year went to The Witcher 3: Wild Hunt, which also picked up awards for Best Storytelling and Best Visual Design. The ceremony also celebrated PewDiePie, Grand Theft Auto 5, and Splatoon. Curiously, the award for Most Wanted game went to Fallout 4. Had the Golden Joystick Award waited just 2 weeks, maybe it could have been a contender for Best Game of 2015. Nobody was more surprised about the success of Until Dawn than Sony. With no marketing and very little hype, it looked like this horror game would meet a grisly fate. But that didn't happen, and this cabin-in-the-woods themed adventure game struck a nerve with a larger audience. Trying to capitalize on the success, Supermassive Games is back with an Until Dawn spin-off set exclusively for PlayStation VR. It's an on-rail shooter that harkens back to the days of House of the Dead and Time Crisis. This is not the first time we've seen a horror franchise pull this trick. In recent years, we've seen both Capcom and Electronic Arts turn Resident Evil and Dead Space into on-rail shooters with varying degrees of success. Who knows, maybe virtual reality is the kick in the butt this genre needs. For a company best known for family-friendly hits, GoldenEye 007 was a real shock to Nintendo's top brass. According to a recent interview with Rare designer Martin Hollis, Shigeru Miyamoto had a few suggestions to bring the first-person shooter more in line with the rest of the company's output. The original Mario Maker recommended the team tone down the body count and up-close killings. The most ludicrous suggestion involved a bit at the end where James Bond shakes hands with the enemies in the hospital. Thankfully, Rare nixed these notes and made the game they wanted to make. GoldenEye 007 quickly became one of the company's best-selling games. and helped kick off 2 decades worth of competitive first-person shooters on home consoles. For better or worse, Polyphony works at their own pace. Instead of rushing out annualized sequels, Sony lets their Gran Turismo team wait 3 or 4 years between releases. This week we learned that Gran Turismo Sport will hit sometime next year and act as a stopgap between proper releases. This is not the first time Gran Turismo has shipped a bite-sized prologue. Race fans will remember Gran Turismo 5 Prologue, which was released in North America in 2008. 4 years earlier, Sony released Gran Turismo 4 Prologue in Europe and Japan. All these Gran Turismo games are fine and all, but I wish Polyphony would get back to MotorToon Grand Prix. Have you ever wondered how much hard drive space it would take to download every PlayStation 4 game? The editors of Finder.com were also curious and decided to come up with the ultimate chart. As it turns out, you need 3.8 terabyte to install more than 460 PlayStation 4 games. This doesn't include downloadable content and patches. Needless to say, that 500 gig hard drive isn't going to cut it. 20 years ago, video game developers were busy trying to make virtual reality a thing. We saw Sega and Atari announce VR projects, and Nintendo had their own unique take on the technology with the Virtual Boy. With so much excitement swirling about this brand new world, Hasbro decided to test the waters with their own virtual reality headset. This project was ultimately scrapped, but not before the company spent $59 million. Of that investment, $36 million was spent in the first half of 1995 alone. Hopefully Sony has better luck with the PlayStation VR. Hey, thanks for taking the quiz. How'd you do? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to share this with your friends. Who knows? Maybe you'll know more about video game news than they do. Then you can hold that over them for the rest of your life. That's the stuff friendships are made of. Anyway, we'll be back tomorrow with a review of Poncho, as well as a 2D shoot-'em-up I'm still learning how to pronounce. So do me a favor and click the subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then.